Welcome to the Intuitive Websites Internet Marketing Podcast, bringing you the country's top podcast on the subject of internet marketing, with your hosts Glenn Thayer and the CEO of Intuitive Websites, Thomas Young.
Folks, welcome back to another Intuitive Websites Internet Marketing Podcast. Tom and I are talking now about the new rules of sales and marketing. So, Tom, what exactly are the new rules of sales and marketing? What does that mean? I mean, we've been bombarded with everything from the web, from web marketing, web sales, e-commerce. Everything's online. We know that there's a huge shift right now that a lot of advertising agencies are making the switch from network television and broadcast television and radio now to have a big new media push. So online is where they're focusing a lot of efforts. So what does that really mean? I mean, when we start looking at the new rules of sales and marketing, let's break this down.
Sure. Well, number one, I want to just make it clear that there are some things in marketing that will never change. Right? And there's some things in marketing that have changed dramatically. I mean, the fundamentals that never change include things like, the trust and relationships you have with people, how good a communicator you are, how well you know your industry. I mean, those things never change. Fair pricing, your direct or indirect competition, that's always going to be there. Having fun with your message, having an awesome product or service, and then just working hard with no excuses. Those things never change, and this will not replace any of those things.
Yeah, but now with everything online, we've got social media. We've got things that we obviously Apple just released the new iPhone 5, and they got flamed because their maps don't work the way they're supposed to.
I know. It's got to be perfect, right? You can't make a mistake. Well, but here's the thing. The internet has been the biggest change to marketing since television and radio changed marketing, and before that was print. So I mean, this is massive change. And now the key thing is that you're not trying to go out and reach 1 million people. You're trying to reach 1 million individuals. And so it's a very different approach. And so what I've done is kind of come up with, what are the 4 new rules of marketing that you really need to follow to get above everybody else, to get above the noise, to rise above all this content that's out there. And there's 4 fundamental things that we want to talk about. Number one is that customers find you. And this is one of the biggest switches. I mean, it used to be in the old days of television and radio, you'd have a new product, you'd announce it to the world, and then they would, customers would know that you're there now and they'd come and buy from you. It doesn't work that way anymore. Customers want to find you. So that's number one. And number 2, because there's so much out there, the people that keep it simple and direct are the ones that rise above. So the power of simplicity is number 2. Number 3 is the importance of product and service. Because everything's so transparent, because customers now find you and research you, you can't have a map app on your phone that doesn't work 100% right. Right. You have even a little tiny glitch on the best product in the world, and customers are going to jump all over you. So product and service has to be awesome. And then number 4, finally, all of this, along with many more competitors in all industries, means that the marketing and sales bar has been raised. So now, not only do you have to do these new rules, you also have to do it better than anyone else. You have to be better at marketing and sales than anyone else. You have to have a better product or service than anyone else. You can't just be a me too.
And you have to have a better strategy. And that's what that means. You can't just say, hey, I've duplicated the website, I have an e-commerce site, and I've duplicated the engine that Amazon has.
That's right.
You can't have that. You have to have a superior strategy that's going to get you there that differs from what theirs are.
That's right. And companies like Amazon are driving this marketing and sales bar. I mean, we've got e-commerce clients that are just scratching their heads trying to figure out how can we compete with Amazon. Well, they have to find ways to do it, and they can do it. It's going to involve more hard work, and it's going to involve content strategies, but they can do it.
Well, since these 4 new rules, I mean, we're going to be talking about these in future podcasts as well, because there is a ton of information here. So just for the sake of this particular podcast, we're going to talk about the first new rule of marketing, which is customers find you.
That's right. The customers find you, and it's easy to say, hard to get a grasp on sometimes. And one of the fundamental things that I've done throughout my career is when you have a problem and you're trying to solve that problem, the best way to do it is to go get inside the head of your customer. I mean, how often do we sit in meetings and try to figure out, well, how do we do this? How do we do that? Take a time out and say, well, wait a minute, let's think like our prospective customers think. And then that might give us the tools we need to solve this problem. So let's think like the new customer.
So what does a new customer think?
Well, so what do they think, and what is a profile of the new consumer in 2012? And there's a couple things I want to do to summarize these folks. One is that they're really smart and savvy because of the internet. It doesn't mean they're intelligent. It just means they're smart and savvy because they have access to information. And number two, they're really busy because just like we're overwhelmed with content information, so are they. And they have all the pressures of life plus all the pressures of work. So if you have a consumer that's smart, has options, and is really busy, how are they going to act? How are they going to interact with your marketing information? How are they going to find you and so forth? Well, number one is they're not going to read anything. They're going to scan for information. They're going to be very impatient, and they're going to want total convenience. If you can do that for them, make life simple and easy for them, you've got a big plus going for you. And then they will take the time to read once you've earned their trust that way.
But they're most likely are not going to read at their computer.
Now, that's another big change that's happening, and we see this in our web stats. We've talked about this is the increase in portable information. And Samsung and Apple are pushing big to take people and have their computers be part of their hand or, part of what they hold and wherever they are. And we're seeing websites now, we never would have thought this. We're seeing websites that are approaching 30% of their traffic coming from mobile traffic, which is, and not only is it a big number in itself, it's growing. So yeah, they're mobile, and that even makes things more difficult to read.
Because, well, now you have to have a mobile site because people aren't going to read a regular website in a small device.
You have to have a mobile site because if you don't have it, they'll go to where it's easier. They'll go to your competitors. So they want quick, concrete, relevant, and timely advice and information. They want to be able to comment and ask a question. They're getting used to that now with blogs and blog postings. They look for you to have an organized website that doesn't make them work. Now, we just looked at a website we just reviewed in the previous podcast, the AMA website. And I'll tell you right now that the American Management Association website has thousands of people coming to that site, looking at the information, realizing I've got to think too much on this site and leaving. Well, that doesn't help them. But that's a new rule of marketing, and that is defined by the customer. The customer's finding you. Make it easy for them. They're also part of the self-service world, which is becoming more and more apparent, and that is that not only do you bag your own groceries, you do everything. You do everything on your own, and you've got to take care of this stuff and get it ready. There's a website out there to help you get married, to help you plan, anything you want to plan. Plan a trip, meet friends, whatever you're doing. So it's a self-service world, and we've got to be part of that. I think that it's also key that people feel that it's very important that your brand is a trustworthy and recognizable brand that they can convert around, and that all of this ties into that. If you want to build your brand with today's consumers, you've got to follow these new rules. And also, because they're smart and they have options, they can see the difference between sizzle and marketing fluff and real value. And in fact, they're turned off by it. So the whole idea of marketing is sizzle or marketing is like sales copy or whatever, that doesn't work anymore. They want to go and see how to convert and how to get what they want.
Well, especially with content marketing and the way content marketing is driving everything these days, there is no sizzle and there is no the fluff goes away.
Yes.
It has to be the hard content. And if you don't provide the content, that trust goes away.
That's exactly true. And people are looking for trust. See, here's the thing that we forget sometimes. If you get inside the head of your average prospect, they want to trust your content. They want to trust your company, and they want to do business with you. But let's not put up obstacles to that trust, because the flip side of this is that these new consumers are very loyal because once they find something that works for them, they just stick with it, because the choice or the option of switching can become so painful that they don't switch. They stick with it, and they become even more ingrained. Think about the kind of phone you use. You pretty much, once you make that commitment to get that phone, you get all your apps on that phone, you stick with the phone, you stick with the platform, and it becomes very difficult to change. You only change when the trust is finally dropped so much, or you feel like there's more trust with another product, and then you make the change. And this is true of any product or service, or grocery store, or restaurant, or anywhere that you go. I see this really, one of the things to do to understand the new consumer is really try to observe people that are younger than, say, 25 or younger than 30 or even younger than 20. And you can see it in how they pursue and take the world on. They want their life to be simplified. So they go to the same restaurants over and over again. They may have 1,000 Facebook friends, but they only hang out with 4 people. They find a way to kind of narrow and focus this so that they get that value. And they do that by building that trust and understanding that content and making a connection.
Well, going to the next thing, expanding on trust, how important is transparency with that?
Well, they see right through it. I mean, if it's not totally transparent in that it has a connection between what you're saying on your site and what you do, then people see right through that and they just leave. They'll laugh at it and just leave. And I think you're seeing more and more of a change in websites now, especially with website content. Now, there are certain service industries out there and products that, that's a little bit vague. It's hard to do that. So that is why this importance of having a blog, this importance of having regular content, that also builds the trust. So if you can't say it with a few pictures and a few words, your blog in the wealth of content that you have on your website will say that. That's the approach we take at Intuitive Websites because we sell, this service it's kind of vague. What is it? What do you do? What are the results of your service? Well, to learn more about what we do, we have lots of content on our site to build that trust and build kind of the foundation of what it is we do and how we help folks.
Well, what about things with noise, the noise levels? We talked about that, the 4 new rules of marketing, how to get above the noise. How much noise is the new consumer dealing with when we're dealing with online noise? Well,
it's so much. I mean, I was recently, my son is in college at CU Boulder. And I was just watching the college students walk around campus. And if there is a college student that is walking alone, they are on their iPhone as they walk. And as they have their iPhone there, they're constantly interacting with all this information, not just from their friends and their text message or anything, but if they stop for 1 second to look at anything that's outside of that text, they're going to see ads, they're going to see junk email, they're going to be inundated with this. So it's kind of there's kind of a two-headed coin here. One is that you have access to people like you never had before, but the other side is that they are getting tons of information. So these fundamentals that we're talking about become more important than ever. And really, I think that, when you talk about the most fundamental part of your company, it has to start with how good is your product, how good is your service? Because that is ultimately what will cut through all this in the long run.
Going back to some of the things we talked about is as far as the typical customer, they want to be able to read, some want to comment. And if somebody comments, a really important thing is to really get back to them. If somebody comments positive or negative or asks a question, it's really imperative that you get back to that person immediately, whether it's on a blog post, whether it's on Facebook, Twitter, whatever it happens to be. If somebody mentions something about you or your product, you need to be on it.
Absolutely. It's so important. And in fact, based on your strategy might be to build comments because you want people talking about your product or service, and you need that wide marketplace. If someone takes the time to comment, then they definitely need a response. But keep in mind that people are commenting all the time via your web traffic. So when someone's on your website, they're leaving a trail of what was important to them and what wasn't. And if you're lucky enough to have a nice strong niche and have a kind of a strong segment of the market you can target, then you should go after that and really not only build the comments, but build this loyal following of people. And then that's going to really drive success for you. And I think, keep in mind that because this new consumer is so busy and they're really smart, they have lots of options, a lot of this stuff will happen just through invisible means. It'll happen through your web stats, through your growth in web visitors. It's not going to be like the old days where the phone's ringing off the hook and you could actually literally hear it happen. It's going to be kind of silent, and you need to be ready for it, and you need to be ready for the different forms of conversions that will take place. It won't necessarily be phone calls. It'll be over the web. It'll be via comments, via subscribers,
via email.
Via email, absolutely.
One of the other things that I wanted to touch on real quick too is we talked about the being part of the self-service world and making it really easy for people to do it on their own and find all of the information. Well, a lot of our listeners, I know there's some out there that say, well, that doesn't apply to me. My customers and my clients are a full-service person. They're the ones that refuse to go into the self-service lane. They will wait extra time to have somebody bag the groceries for them and handle it. They don't, they have a different type of clientele. Do we have anything, any type of any things that they can do, any of those clients that they can do specifically of our listeners? Can they do something for those clients that isn't do-it-yourself, that isn't, oh, here's everything do-it-yourself? Is there ways they can do their copy, set up their websites to make it to where, obviously, yes, simplicity, hands down, period. But if their clients don't want to do it themselves, is it more that they're building themselves as a thought leader and experts in their industry? Is that really where they need to go with it?
Well, when we talk about do-it-yourself, folks, and this is the idea that they are not going to sit at home waiting for you to come and show them your wares. They're not going to sit at home and say, okay, vendor number one, come in, show me what you got. Vendor number two. No, they know they have to go out and find this, and that's what the internet has done. I still think there are people out there that would love it, folks, to come to them and say, here I am, but they understand that doesn't happen. I think that the trend definitely is going more toward the do-it-yourselfers when they actually engage with you and purchase. But yeah, at some point you have to realize you are that. That's the service you provide. One of the things that's so interesting for me to see in the grocery store is when there's someone sitting in a cash register with no one in line, and then there's 5 people in line waiting to pay at the machine at the self-service. I mean, that's kind of what this has done to people's, to training them that you're on your own. If you need something, get on the internet and find it.
So what are the key action items for our listeners for this podcast?
Well, we're going to talk more about these new rules of marketing. We're going to dive in more deeply into how customers find you and how that whole thing has been turned on its head, and especially what it means for salespeople, which is really critical. So listen to these podcasts, and you're going to hear some more rules. We've spent a lot of time in the podcast talking about our 4-step process. And that's really the fundamentals of web marketing. Now we're going to go to a whole another level with these new rules of marketing. I mean, it's going to go, in some cases, on and off the internet as well. Take time to understand your invisible customer, your invisible web user, and how they perceive you, and how those folks can become part of a loyal band of followers that you're going to build. Simplify, and when I talk about simplify your messaging, simplify your product and services, all of those things. Start with 3 things. Look at what you're currently doing and say, if we just focused on 3 things, what would they be? And that's a good exercise for simplification. And as we talk about these new rules of marketing, and we haven't done this a lot in our podcast, but I'm going to start stressing this more, and that is keep improving your product and service, because that is going to be the core of what you bring. And because people find you, they're going to want to see that that's the best place to go. Is you're the best place to go for this product or service. And then also in these new rules of marketing, you're going to get a sense of where you're going to get the most return from your time. Whether you're a sales professional, marketing professional, hopefully we can help you identify that. And are you currently going now to too big a market? And should you come back and through this simplification process have more of a niche, which you can develop into a loyal following? So more to come on the new rules of marketing. This is a good kickoff.
Thanks for joining us, folks, and be sure to tune in to our next Intuitive Websites Internet Marketing Podcast, where we talk more in detail about the 4 new rules of marketing. Thanks for joining us.
This has been an Intuitive Websites Internet Marketing Podcast. For more information and to see all the available podcasts and much more, visit intuitiveblog.com. If you have a website you'd like us to review or an issue you would like to see covered in future podcasts, email us at info@intuitivewebsites.com.